I think I can't start this conversation without first addressing the question that I think is on a lot of people's minds. This is OSF's very first all-female Shakespeare in the history of Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
The very first all-female Shakespeare production at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
And there are many reasons for that. First of all, it's not radical. This play was done with an all-male cast. The first times it was done, and for many years. And so doing Shakespeare with an all same-gender cast is not at all radical. But it is exciting that this is the first time there'll be an all-female Shakespeare at OSF. And I think really the impetus for this, as Lydia said, I got to spend time at OSF in 2010 as the Phil Killian Fellow, and completely fell in love with the company and with the work and with the mission of OSF. And I think in many ways this casting is a love letter to this company. When Bill approached me about directing this play, my mind naturally went to just thinking about actors that would be great in these roles. And if you're looking through this, Two Gentlemen of course famous for this clown Launce and his dog Crab. And KT Vogt immediately came to my mind as somebody who plays a great clown. And many other actors, you'll see many of your favorite OSF veteran actors in this play. And so many of them came to mind as just people who could embody these roles. And so before I even was thinking of logically about it, I looked at my list and I thought, I have to hear this play with all women. And that really, that sparked so many things for me. I think this play, I think this is an incredibly beautiful play, but it's also a play that has some baggage for people. Women don't get treated kindly in this play. And I think that can be really difficult to see in 2014, and it's certainly difficult as a female director. And I think what's difficult in some ways is to see how the women were treated back in the 1500s, and it's equally, if not more troubling, to see how some of that hasn't changed enough. And I love Shakespeare, and I believe at the heart of Shakespeare's, if this isn't his first play, it's one of his first plays, and I believe what he's writing about is forgiveness, and about being young, and about that feeling that I think we've all had, men and women, of leaving our small town and that first day of summer and maybe saying goodbye to our friends after high school graduation and saying, we're always gonna be friends, and I'm always gonna write to you, or that person you were in love with and saying, I'm so in love and we're always gonna be together and we're gonna make it work, and then you go to summer camp or you go off to college and the world shifts, and I think really what Shakespeare's asking is, how do I find myself and still stay true to my friends? How do I find myself without losing my friends? And to me, that's not a question that's just for guys. That's a question that all of us, I think, as people wrestle with, and it's a question that has a lot of comedic possibilities. It has a lot of heartbreaking possibilities. It has a lot of troubling possibilities. But this is a comedy, and comedies come full circle. And at the end of this play, I think Shakespeare's really inviting the idea of what does it mean to forgive a friend? What would it take to forgive a friend? How do we come back into a sense of community with each other? But this play can be difficult, I think, to see when we get hung up on things that keep us from getting to the heart of that question. And I think I can certainly understand how many people encountering this play today kind of think, well, 230-something-year-old guys, they should know better, you know? So for me, it was like, how do I get to something that feels more joyful and fresh and innocent and just new in this play? And hearing it with all women, I think, disrupted the expectations enough to just be able to hear the play as I believe Shakespeare wants us to hear it. So I have a fantastic team of actors, as you can read about in the program here, and we're having an incredible time in rehearsal, and we're not shying away from some of the thorny things in this play, but I think we're also asking really deep questions about that idea of what does it mean to really forgive someone. And I think reflecting on, if any of us reflect on friendships we've had for a long time, perhaps since we were teenagers, or relationships with siblings, or we don't get this far in life without finding a way to forgive, and that to me is truly exciting and moving about this process, that I've had a team of people that have trusted me to go on that journey. And I think for those of us coming to see the play, if you know the play, it's very true to the play. We haven't changed anything, but you'll hear it in a new way. And I think for people who are new to the play, it's going to be both that really authentic experience with Shakespeare, but also one that I think celebrates where we are right now. And that's something important to me, especially knowing how many students come to Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and to see that, you know, we all can tell these stories. And I think the story is going to get told in a way that I've sort of described it as being like telling two stories at the same time. Like we're telling Shakespeare's story, and we're also trying to tell a new story. I want young women coming to see this play to think, hey, I could make these stories my own too. And the analogy I like best is, I think, like hearing a band play a cover of a song that you thought you knew, and you hear the song that you knew, but you also get to kind of hear some new takes on it in the listening to it. One thing that was important to me is I didn't want to see actors play at the idea of being men. They're not making fun of these characters or sort of being caricatured about it. They're just playing characters, honestly. And so I think actors are phenomenal this way, right? Like they can access so many different parts of their being. And my gents are Christiana Clark, who's 6'3" and incredibly athletic and has this lovely alto to baritone voice. And there's a lot in Christiana that just feels like a teenage guy. She's like, I'm basically playing my brother up here. It's really close to home. And Sophia Gomez, who's super inventive as a guy. So it doesn't feel like they're this huge stretch. But there is this weird thing where the costumes, come to see the costumes, people. And the costumes are going to be amazing. They're period costumes. They're based on Elizabethan silhouettes, but with some really fun, inventive twist to it. And so, for instance, I had this moment the other night at rehearsal. Granted, we go really late, until midnight oftentimes. And I was in the bathroom, and I looked over, all the stalls were full, and I looked down to make sure, and there are these boots in there, and I was like, why is Thurio in the girls' bathroom? Why doesn't he just use his own bathroom? And then I was like, oh wait, it is an all-female cast. But I forget, because these women are just so great at playing character. And then there's people like KT, like the clowns, who, I don't know, it was Lance a man or one, it doesn't really matter, he's just funny, you know, and it's so KT. So I think it's a big thing for me as a woman director, because I think like roles for women, especially a woman director who loves Shakespeare, the roles are really narrow. I mean, if you look at, there's some good ones this summer, but there's 6 total, I think, you know, and on the outdoor stage this summer. So like with Two Gents, it's only 3 women in the whole play, and 2 are ingenues, which means 1 woman who reads over the age of 30 gets to be in this play if we cast it with all women. And that's just, those kind of odds are really tough to swallow. You know, Bill Rausch has said too that men are outnumbered 2 to 1 in OSF's company, and I have nothing against. I want plays to be told in all sorts of ways, but this is just a really exciting way I think for us to see some of these incredible actors just get to speak words they wouldn't otherwise get to speak.